Post-game Coleman Coliseum, Alabama wins it 96-83 over Kentucky. As we bring in Taylor Corn, who was down at Auburn, she's have her input on the game here a little bit as well, and you can go back and see our Auburn post-game from earlier. First of all, my apologies to Taylor, who does such a great job of running our social media platform. I posted an incorrect score at halftime, and a lot of feedback to that on social media. That's all on me. My apologies to Taylor there. Alabama led it to half 47-40. They win this one. And what an experience with the two faces of the program today. We talked earlier about Janai Broom and the day he had, and then we sit down for this game in Tuscaloosa, and the face of the program, Mark Sears, has his big 30-point day today. And that's where you start with Alabama's win over Kentucky, T, is Mark Sears having a heck of a day.
Yeah, he had 35 versus Missouri, dropped another 30 tonight, and people were a little concerned about him earlier this season just because his production hadn't been quite what it was last season, especially at the end of last season. But he seems to have found his shot again, and I don't think that anyone should be concerned about Mark Sears.
You know, you and I have seen this team shoot a lot of free throws this year and missed quite a few free throws. Alabama wins this game at the free throw line today. It's 96 points, but 21 of them from the free throw line. That's part of the Nate Oates thing, but they shot 84%. They only missed 4 today, 21 of 25. A couple of those misses were late. They did a terrific job at the free throw line today, shooting that. And, you know, Mark Sears, who hit 8 shots from the field, 3 threes, but he was really good at the free throw line as well. So Sears was good. I'll sum it up, and he gets my game ball. I joked with you earlier about Janai Broom, who gets your game ball. Sears will get my game ball. And there was one moment that Alabama went up 94-79, where Sears turned it over with a horrible pass. But then they come back down the floor. He makes the steal, comes back, drains the 3, then gets the ball back, comes down, assists it over to Chris Youngblood, who drains the 3. It was like turnover, and then he was like, I've got to make up for that turnover. He gets the steal, the 3, the assist, and a 3 from Youngblood, and that was 94-79, and the game was over with at that point. That was the moment of the game for me. We'll get into your comments here. Give me another takeaway from you, Taylor, on this Alabama win over Kentucky. By the way, a season sweep over Kentucky. They won it rough, and now they win it home.
Yeah, and you mentioned one of the Youngblood threes. He had 3 tonight, but it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like 2 of his threes came at a detrimental time, at a time when Alabama was either in a scoring drought or, like you mentioned, the last one that kind of put the nail in the coffin. But we've talked a number of times throughout the season about how he has been a guy ever since he got fully healthy and returned to the court that has continued to step up in big ways for this team.
A great observation there. Aiden Holloway was another guy tonight who at those times would hit a big 3. He had his own little moment of spurts there. He had 19 tonight. Your comments rolling in, Robert, great get-right game. Need to carry this momentum. Yeah, after losing 2, you had Kentucky coming in here, a team that could, find itself on a 3-line, 4-line in the NCAA tournament. And you knew they had the potential to score a lot of points, and they did a really good job. Alabama did. I know it's 83 points, but compared to where Alabama's been giving up points, I thought they did a really good job defensively several times tonight. Shot clock would be down to 6 seconds, 5 seconds before Kentucky would get a shot up. Some of them went in, some of them didn't, but Alabama guarding so deep into the clock was a fresh look tonight for Alabama defensively. Jeremy says, roll tide, big win for Alabama there. Cindy says, Sears had an awesome game. Mark is, and you were with us at the Final Four last year too. You followed this team all the way through the tournament. Just if you could sum up the love of this Alabama fan base for Mark Sears, he's one of the more beloved Alabama basketball players of all time. He may be number 1.
Yeah, I agree. And he carried, or it seems like he carried the team really last year when they made that postseason run. He was incredible. in the postseason in the NCAA tournament, and he's starting to get back to the way that he was playing late in the season last year.
That's exactly right. And, this is the time of year. Phylon was in there. He made a steal and got a dunk at the other end. He had his moments. You just hope this team can gel at the right time when you get to the tournament. They have, that Auburn loss was hard. And then the road trip to a red hot Missouri team. And then you came back here for this Kentucky game to get this win today was huge. And you'll try to carry that momentum over. Cindy also adds Mo D was key on defense again. His defense is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Stan goes, Jim, how much did you lose on your Kentucky bet? I usually put 25 on the opposing team when they play Alabama. So I'm willing to lose 25 a game to play the odds the other way. You know what I mean? Don't
Yeah,
say
I mean,
don't say you've never done it. You've never done it.
You're hedging your emotions.
Have you ever done it?
Have I
I've
ever?
gone. I've gone as high as 100 before to bet on the other team. I think I've gone as high as 200 now. I say it to bet on another team against the team. Like when the Buccaneers are playing a playoff game, Alabama or something. I will throw a wager on the other side to walk away with, either happy on the outcome or I got a little cash to buy a dinner. Just 25 today though, because I thought
Not a bad
Alabama
way to
would.
do it.
Truthfully, I thought Alabama would win the game. Sears and Unplugged were huge today. Chris agreeing with you, a little T on that one. Um, Tony, thank you for the comment. Glenn, that Bama team, that's the Bama team I've been waiting for there, Glenn says. And that's it. I mean, we've seen the A+ game from Alabama before, the Texas game, but everybody sort of shuffled that off to Texas defense. But you've seen this team play at this level throughout the year. And I think that's why, and Taylor, you and Ryan Brown hit this different times earlier this week. You just couldn't let what happened in Auburn or to Auburn, from Auburn here in Tuscaloosa and at Missouri sort of change the perception of this team. It was 2 losses. And as you've said throughout the year in the SEC, there are going to be losses. And it was easy to start maybe changing your thoughts about this team for a little bit coming into this game. And today makes you feel a lot different about this team. It feels good coming after a win, going into the Mississippi State game.
Yeah, you have to have short-term memory loss during basketball season. You're playing 2 games a week, and like you said, the SEC is so competitive this season. Both of those losses were quad 1 losses. So I mentioned this at some point over the past week. It's not like they were losing to atrocious teams. And that's why I said, when we were asking, do you press the panic button? No, absolutely not. I think it would have been concerning if they came out looking slow tonight, if they came out looking like they lacked effort, if they looked like they were hanging their heads a little bit, and that's not what happened. So I think all of, the potential worry that Alabama fans were starting to feel after those 2 losses should be washed away. Really, I mean, obviously because of the win, but also because of the effort that was shown, the defensive effort, the energy. And I think that's what a lot of people were looking for. It's something that Peter Burns mentioned as well.
Yeah, spot on, T. The defensive energy was just different tonight than it was against Missouri. Roll Tide says, this is what happens when you don't go down 12 points to start a game. 9 against Auburn, 12 against Missouri, and they didn't tonight. They were in the game from the tip. They didn't dig themselves into a hole and have to dig themselves out of it all night long. It sounded like the crowd was into it. Yes. Stefina, Cliff's best game of the year. 15 rebounds for Big Cliff today. And Grant got into some foul trouble. Cliff got that 3rd foul pretty early as well. But he maneuvered through that. Cliff was a force inside against Amari Williams, who, by the way, I'm not gonna. You know me, I don't blame wins or losses on officiating, but I'll just point out that Amari Williams is 7 feet tall. Mo Diabate guarding him had 3 fouls. Cliff Amore had 3 fouls. Grant Nelson had 4 fouls, all when guarding Amari Williams. Amari Williams got his first foul in the game with 6 minutes and 25 seconds to go in the game. His first one with 6:25 to go in the game. Meanwhile, the guys guarding him, had 10 fouls, but I'm sure I'm sure they were pushing a little bit more. But you've seen Cliff being a force down low, 15 rebounds. You can't argue with that. He was cleaning the glass today.
Yeah, and I think that's also something that should be encouraging for Alabama fans because at times he struggled a little bit this season. He was the addition this offseason that a lot of Alabama fans were most excited about because they needed a big body on the floor, another big body in addition to Grant Nelson, who has been struggling as of late.
That's what
So
Luke says. To your point, Nelson's had only had double digits once in the last 4 games. He spent the last 10 minutes of the first half on the bench and then a big chunk of it here in the second half today.
yeah, I mean, we talked about this on our Friday show. He had 25 in Alabama's last game in Lexington, and since then he has not scored over 16 points. I'm pretty sure his first points tonight came with what was it, 3.5 minutes left in the game. He only took 4 shots. He hit one of his 2 free throws. Is it just a funk? I don't know, but it's a good time for Cliff to step up when Grant seems to be struggling a little bit.
Royal Payne wants to see Grant Nelson and Jaron Stevenson more firm at the hole, finishing at the goal, driving with a little bit more physicality. And I think that's something we talked about before that would help Jaron Stevenson a little bit if he would be a little bit more forceful drive, maybe to get his game rolling back a little bit. Mark Sears, I assume, is your game ball. Is there anybody else you want to give it to, or we just roll with Sears here?
I mean, I think it's hard not to give it to Sears, to be completely honest. There was a stat on the broadcast. Mark Sears is, I believe, and y'all correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, I believe that he's only one of 2 players to have 30-plus point, back-to-back 30-plus point games versus teams ranked in the AP top 25. I don't know if it was 2 players all time, 2 players since, whatever year, but either way, that's an impressive stat.
Absolutely. Andy says need to get a win against State because that may be our last win of the regular season. State, I think State lost today, if I saw that correctly coming in here. Did they? They did lose today.
Yeah.
Surprising loss to, I believe, Oklahoma. So they come in off of a loss. It'll be a dogfight in here on Tuesday night. You'll be here with me on Tuesday night in Tuscaloosa and then down at Auburn on Wednesday there. Richard Amori had a big game. Foul trouble most of the game. Talking about Grant Nelson again there. Holloway could get a game ball, says Tyler. Amore could get a game ball, says Richard. The stat was the last 30 years.
Last 30
everyone
years.
is saying. Yeah, last 30 years. All right, that's our post game here from Tuscaloosa. So a winning day in Auburn, winning day here in Alabama. And the Tide in mid-game. Thank you there, Aaron Suttles from Bama and Bourbon just walked up right here. There's Aaron Suttles
Hey, Aaron.
in the shot. Hey, Aaron, says Sailor. Mid-game, about halfway through the game, we got a Joe Lunardi bracket update in Alabama. Still the second overall seed in the tournament, right behind Auburn. So Auburn, Alabama, still 1-2 in Lunardi's bracket, both on the one line comfortably. Duke's about to play, or is playing right now at Madison Square Garden. We'll keep an eye on that game. And then be back here Tuesday night. Don't forget a recorded basketball show coming up. Taylor, safe travels to you, and we'll see everybody tomorrow, Monday morning on the basketball show. So long, everybody.